So the good thing about a competitive market is that sales is almost always guaranteed. If you're going to sell in a competitive market, a market that enjoys huge consumer demand, it's almost guaranteed that you are going to sell. So that's a key benefit that many people take for granted. But unless you have started a business before and you struggle to find customers, you will not see the value in what I've just told you. There are people who start businesses and they are not able to make sales in the first month, sometimes even in the first year, depending on how niche the product or service is. So it's not always a good thing when you take for granted that you are in an active market that has a huge supply of people who are looking for that kind of thing that you're selling, right? The second one will be opportunities for differentiation. When you are in a competitive market, you start to find out the things that the market responds to, and you can differentiate yourself accordingly, right? So look at banking, for example. Everybody is competing in terms of banking to give everybody money and things like that. But then an opportunity to differentiate is there's a form of finance called Islamic finance, Islamic banking, where the mode of reward for the person giving the money is different, where you're not charging an interest in Islamic banking, but there are people whose cultural and religious beliefs align with that way of banking. They will not go to the traditional banks for loans because those commercial banks don't align with their faith. But here you now have Islamic banks. I think there's Taj Bank, there's Jaiz Bank, They are a minority, but they are there. And that has allowed them to differentiate because while most of the commercial banks are selling standard financial services and standard financial products, these Islamic banks are selling differentiated products. You also notice that some banks are largely focused on SMEs, small and mid-sized businesses. Meanwhile, many of the big banks will not give you a loan or will not support you if you're not of a certain size. You now notice that many of the fintechs are now, so a competitive market allows you to look at the landscape and notice who is being ignored. Notice the market segments that are being ignored, the niches that are not being served, the complaints, the needs that are not being met. A competitive market has a rich supply of information because there's activity happening. You don't have to wait for so long to see the big picture. The more competitive a market is, the more you can notice the people who are grumbling, who are not being served well. The more you can notice the people who have wish lists, like I wish somebody could give me this. I wish somebody could make this product. A competitive market has a lot of rich information that you can use to create something that differentiates you from the competition, right? Another is it builds resilience. All that competition, all that battle for market share, all that trying to outdo your competitors, it builds resilience in a business because you are much more innovative, you are much more adaptable, you know how to react to things. So one thing I found is that if you build a business in a competitive market and you survive in that market, your next business is easier because you have a fighter's mindset. Your next business is easier. It's easier for you to, you know the problems to avoid because in a competitive market, it's like time is accelerated. So you face challenges a lot more than people who are in non-competitive industries because it's like somebody who is always on the treadmill. So you have learned how to fight. You've learned how to protect yourself, your business, and defend. You've learned, essentially, you have a fighter's mindset. So no matter the other kind of business you start, you find out that you're a much more resilient entrepreneur, right? If you're interested in learning more about the topics I offer when it comes to starting, building, and growing a business, this is your opportunity to join my community. It's known as the BMG. I provide extensive courses on different topics and challenges that afflict business owners, from how to optimize your profits, how to manage costs, how to boost your sales, how to develop processes, how to scale your business. There's a whole lot that I can teach you. If you want to go deeper into my content, this is your chance. Go to the link on your screen right now, jointhebmg.com.